I've always been fascinated by the magic of film and TV, and I've been filming and editing my own short films and comedy sketches for a hobby since I was just 9 years old. I often appear on my own sketches, just playing the clown and trying to get a laugh. When it comes to putting my films together, I'm a deadly serious perfectionist. I've discovered that sometimes it can take hours or even days to make a single shot just right, and that to be a perfectionist about the tiny details is the key to making a believable sequence. So much of the effort of editing and post-production is about correcting the imperfections of the real world. Just over a year ago now, I made a spoof about the fictional spy James Bond. My original plan in making the film would be that I'd walk across a white background, and the best way to get pure white is to use a green screen. As you can see, that's me in my back garden. I did this so that when it came to the editing process, I could cut out the green and replace it with a white background, as you can see on the screen there. And overall, this worked. But, as you can see, I'm not exactly always on the green screen. And this was partly because of a funding problem, mainly because I don't have a fund. But basically, I had to find a way to get around this. And eventually, it came to the point where I had to cut around myself in the computer so that I could remove myself from the background, as you can see from this quick time-lapse I made. I then had this final shot. I cut a circle out of it, and then placed myself into the gun barrel. In my most recent film, my hopeless character is invited to a Buckingham Palace garden party to meet the Queen.
One is very pleased to announce that Mr. Brown has been appointed to meet and be honoured by Her Majesty the Queen due to his outstanding contribution to hip-hop rap. The honouring shall take place outside the marvellous Buckingham Palace at 1 p.m. precisely. The day has finally arrived, but to keep it safe, let's lay down some ground rules.
I filmed part of the London sequence on a freezing cold day in February and another on a boiling hot day in the summer, as you can see here. Now, this is when I stumbled across my next problem. The footage I took on the different days just didn't match up, and bad continuity could have ruined the entire sequence. For example, to get this shot of the palace itself to match the others in the sequence that I had filmed later in the year, I'd have to spend some time tweaking reality. Firstly, I knew how to try and match the colour in both of the shots, and then try and find a way to change the sky. So, I tried cutting out the blue sky, the pale sky, and replacing it with a plain blue colour, but it just didn't look realistic enough. So I started from scratch. I cut out the pale sky, and then looking back at some previous footage I had taken in the summer, I cut out the sky from this shot, and then placed it into this one. And really, although it may have only been on screen for a couple of seconds, you don't really notice it, but it took hours to complete. Later on in my film, I go through a list of funny things not to do in meeting the Queen. To put this list together, I decided to create my own graphics.
1. When meeting the Queen, one must dress appropriately. And not like this young man here.
Within the purple dressing graphic, I put an old-fashioned stamp in the background. Now, I wanted to find a photo of a stamp that would fit what I wanted to do, but really I just couldn't find anything that suited what I wanted, so I decided to make my own. I found a photo of an old-fashioned stamp on the internet, and then a photo that I had taken of the inside of my dad's shirt, just to give the graphics some texture. I cut the stamp out, cut out an oval shape, and then textured the oval. And then placed in the numbers that I wanted. After this, it was fairly simple, and really the only difficulties I had were wearing my mum's dress under my dad's suit and persuading my friend to dress up as an 87-year-old monarch.
Don't overdo it. Rule number 5. Finally, upon meeting the Queen, bow gracefully. Follow these simple steps, and your special day with the monarch will be one to remember.
I hope I'll carry on making films throughout my life, and I hope that I'll keep on learning about the science and art of this craft. But even if one day I get to make a big budget blockbuster, I'll always remember that the most simple effects are the most effective. Thank you.